Hey everyone, Microsoft released XLOOKUP for a long time and not everyone is on the same page. For example, I still see a lot of students and my colleague using an old trick. But nowadays, since we have more like the dedicated function that serving that purpose, we should come together to see what we can do best to utilize new function. So today we're going to go through how to use the XLOOKUP function to perform several different tasks. This is the whole replacement of the lookup function. XLOOKUP is so flexible if you use it in the right direction. The first one is that XLOOKUP just has a very clean syntax. So if you type something XLOOKUP, three essential elements you need to put in, what kind of value you're going to look up, and from which kind of array you're going to look up that lookup value, and also which array you're going to return for that lookup once it's found. All the rest is not necessary, it's optional since they're in the square bracket, but we're going to go through them in detail later on. So for this simple syntax, we just look at Olivia. In the lookup array, we're going to return the return array 1. So we're going to look up Olivia, put a comma, lookup array going to be our first lookup array, and then return, we're going to return is actually the last name. We just need to close this. There's a significant difference between this one and X because VLOOKUP by default is using approximate search, which is 1 in N. Here, you can see the search mode is the last argument in this syntax, but you don't need to put in because by default is exact match. By default, that value is 0, so you don't need to reconsider that. It's very safe to use that without any input for the last argument. Then you click enter. It's just like exactly it will return the first Olivia. You can see I have 3 Olivia. It's going to return in this kind of order, return the first Olivia, the last name. So that's the simple syntax. So second is, if we try to find a name which is not in the lookup array, by using the VLOOKUP, it's going to return the arrow, and you need to handle that by surrounding another formula. For example, if arrow, right? Here, if we just copy this down, it will still have this NA, but you just need to train your data to put an additional argument. Example is not fine. You can just say not fine. Once you put that argument in, you enter, it will return that. If we put this Olivia back to here, it will find the record. If we control Z, you can see it's not found because we manually tell the system if something wrong, please return this one. So that's the not found handling. For the third one is that your search actually has a direction. For example, Olivia in this name list, we can find that 3 Olivia, and the first one, second, the last one, by default is going to search from the top down. So that's why it come up the first. But we can put argument to force it. For example, for this not found, we can skip that by put another comma. We're going to use the exact match. Yes, here is the last argument. So the last argument is actually letting you to put a search direction. For example, I want to search the last to first, which is the reverse order from the bottom up. So you can put -1 and enter. Now the last name of the Olivia has been returned. So that's a reverse search. So you can use this argument to find a different based on your finding. Okay, there's one thing that I need to assure you guys that you can see this dynamically move down. So we'd better have this locked, right? So for this one, you can just highlight the whole section and use F to lock them. This one, I'm going to use F4 to lock them as well. In that way, I can just copy down, copy down. For this one, I'm going to amend the arrow not found. Okay. So for this one, since I'm using the reverse search, not found, I just skip that. And for this one, exact match, yes, I can skip that. For this one, I put -1. Okay. Now we come to this false difference. So you can return more than one value. One value means that your return array can be multiple. Here, Emma has a last name Robert and has number 72. I want to return this 2 when they found the Emma match, right? You can just easily have that. But you just need to change this is purple, which is this part. You just need to change this to cover that 2, right? If we select this and then we use F4 to lock it, then you can see you have both Roberts and also 72 reviewed and the match of Emma. And if you click on the robot, you can see little blue lines surrounding these 2 cells. If I type something, it'll say spell error because your return arrays two columns. If you have something occupying the position where it goes, it will say arrow. Make sure you're aware of that. And the fifth functionality is wildcard search. For example, Ben, you can see there's no exact match in that, but there is a Benjamin, right? You can actually use the wildcard to match this pattern to this one. So we can just copy paste down. There's no exact match in that, but you can use something with this Ben in conjunction with the ampersand and then use a star. In this part, you are looking for any characters or letters combination start from BEN and everything. And then you just need to go into the match mode here. If we click the match mode, let's just retype the whole thing. XLOOKUP, we're gonna look up Ben in conjunction with a star, and lookup array gonna be this part. If we lock that, and then return array gonna be this part. Let's move to here. Let's just F4 that, then comma again. If not find, we can say not find. Let's just leave it blank. And match here is what we can. Since we're using the wildcard over here, the first argument, so you can see there's a wildcard character match. So we just put 2 over here, comma again. You can leave it blank. I just leave it blank and then enter. Now you can see even Ben is not exact match with the Benjamin. Since I'm using the wildcard and also change that match mode to 2, which is wildcard match, I can find Ben, there's a Taylor last name corresponding to that first name, right? Okay, now come to the 6. The number 6 feature of XLOOKUP is that you can do complex match. For example, this one, I'm going to search everything in the first column start with E, and also the last column, the score or the number is greater than 6 is complex, right? We're going to use XLOOKUP equal to XLOOKUP. This time is a little bit tricky. Let's just work it through together. You just need to put 1 because here we're going to use some concept about the sum product, but it's not using that function. We're using a 2 array time together. If we put 1 in the first argument, lookup array going to be the first array. We're going to say left. We're going to extract this column, let's just say F4, and we're going to extract just 1 character. In this way, it will identify the first letter from the first name. Once we have this, we put an evaluation to say if it's equal to this one. Okay, now we have done this part. We need to surround this bit. So this will return an array with true or false, evaluate each line depending on how many values we have in the array. And then we use this times another criteria is greater than 60. So we choose the same corresponding period. Make sure you have that surrounded and then make sure you lock that F4. And then we're going to say if this part greater than 60, which is this part. Okay. Now we have done this. Return array going to be our last name. Then we F4 to lock it. Then we close it back. Enter. So this is a little bit of mystery because it looks like we have found that start with E, we have these 3 records. And if anything greater than 60, I can see I already find Johnson because Johnson is the first value that greater than 60. If I change this to 85, it'll be changed to that. But if I say 90, it will be nothing because there's nothing start with E and also greater than 90. So if I put 80, it will be Johnson returned. Let's just highlight those values to have a look. So M on this 2. Okay. You're looking for value 1, but you're putting your criteria, no matter how many criteria, you can use this star to multiply them together. So for this part, if I highlight that and click F9, you can see each value position is with this semicolon. They are true and false in terms of value is 1 and 0, 1 and 0. And what will happen for this part is the exact same thing. The same amount of data is evaluated if it's greater than 18. If I click F9 again, you can see there's another true and false, right? So what will happen, these 2 array time together. Each one in each corresponding position will time together. True is 1, 1 times 1 is 1. They're going to time them each other, and there's only one occasion that will return 1. So both components going to have a 1 return, and then you multiply them together. We're actually forcing the evaluation process to match these 2 criteria. Then we return the last name from column B. So that's a complex match. You can dismantle this by several helper columns. You know that there's possibility for you to do a complex match. Okay, the last one is Two-way lookup is more like a pivot format. Your data is in this area and you have two criteria across the rows and also the columns. So we're going to look up the value. We're going to find English score for Alexander, right? Alexander is over here. English score is here. We can make this highlighted. How we're going to return this 75 is pretty easy. You just need to use one X surrounded by another XLOOKUP. So first one, we're going to look up Alexandra. Lookup array going to be this part, and then the return array, we're not rushed to return any values, so you're going to surround. This time we're going to look up the English and in this array, right? So English will be 1 2. It's going to be returned that 2 position, and then we're going to return array is this part. So it's like if nest in another if. We close this, that's the 75. We just revisit this. So the first part, if you're looking inside out, the first part is actually helping us find which column we're going to look at. Is actually the second column in this return array. And then the outside XLOOKUP is helping us, okay, since I'm locating this array, which row I'm looking at. And it's actually find Alexandra in row 2. Hence, when they cross-check each other, the 75 is going to be returned. Okay, that's everything for today. Hope this introduction of XLOOKUP will help you speed up your process, and see you guys in the next one.